What's going on, guys? I'm Tim Kelly. He's Anthony SanFilippo. This is Phillies Stoplight on Pattison. Anthony, the Phillies, it maybe wasn't the prettiest series, but they rebounded to take 2 of 3 from the Cubs, and that's a series down the line that could have some impact considering they took 4 out of 6 from the Cubs in the regular season.
100%. And we've talked about it in years past when you get towards the end of the season and you start looking at potential tiebreakers. Who do you have a tiebreaker over and who don't you have a tiebreaker over, so that you would have that series, if you played in the postseason, start here at Citizens Bank Park. To win 4 out of 6 from the Cubs this season is a good thing. And it's interesting to me, Tim, maybe the 2 worst times of the season were when they were coming off of that Mets sweep and coming off of the Pirates sweep. Both times they faced the Cubs, and both times, once at Wrigley and once here at Citizens Bank Park, they win the series. And so they kind of got themselves going back in a positive direction last time. Maybe they build off of this and go back in a positive direction.
For sure. So one of the, obviously Bryce Harper's out, Kyle Schwarber homered today, but it's been a little bit more of this earth in June than he normally is. But Trea Turner is somebody, and we've discussed his defense at length, but offensively, they asked him, I mean, you can explain it. They asked him during spring training to kind of take a different offensive approach this season.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, we've talked about this story before that I wrote a few weeks back. Rob Thompson had sat him down and said, if you can get on base 380 and steal 40 bases, I don't care about power. I don't care about the slug. Just do that. 200 out and 200 hits. That was the other thing. And Trea Turner has kind of met that. Like he's on pace for all those things. Maybe not the 380. He's just a little low at the on base percentage. It's still a very good one.
Yeah.
It's not 380. But I think that he's really doing a good job at the top of the lineup. Now taking over as the leadoff hitter full time after the Bryson Stott experiment didn't work. So Turner was leading off only against lefties, now leading off against righties as well, and really doing a good job, and he's on pace for that. Tim, I know you asked about it post-game because he stole base today. It equaled his 2024 total. Now, I know he missed time last year, but we're June 11th, right? I mean, there's 90-some games left to go, and he's already equaled last year's.
Right, and I don't think that they've been like BS ones where you're stealing in the 9th inning when you're up 6 or 7 runs. I mean, that one in the 1st inning today got them a run by them doing the double steal. He steals 3rd, gets them out of the double play, and scores on the Bohm ground out. So he's among the NL leaders in hits. I get that he had the hamstring injury last year. He came back, was a little hesitant to run, which is normal when you have a hamstring injury, but he's played in 66 games this year. He has 19 stolen bases. He played, I believe, in 121 last year and had 19 stolen bases. This is closer to the version of Trea Turner offensively that I think the Phillies were anticipating that they were going to get when they signed him.
And look, we've killed him for his defense, and he's still not an above-average defender, but I will point out in this series against the Cubs, the game the other night that they win in 11 innings, in the 10th inning, or I think, I'm sorry, was it the 10th inning the 10th or 11th, I forget what inning it was. He makes a bare hand play behind the mound to throw a runner out. If he doesn't make that play, another run scores. I think it was in the top of the 11th, and then they would have had to get to just a tie, not 2 to win the game. So Trea Turner gets kudos for that as well.
And credit where it's due. I mean, this is a stretch without Harper, and where Schwarber's not playing quite as good as he has. They've needed Trea Turner to step up, and offensively he's done that. Now, the rest of the lineup, I still have a lot of concerns about. You have Bryson Stott, whose on-base percentage has slipped below 300, or did until it might have gotten back over 300 with that final hit. Either way, not in a good place. Alec Bohm had a nice day today, but his OPS is barely above 700. Just, you feel like hasn't developed in the way you wanted. The good part, I guess, is Max Kepler had a nice day. Nick Castellanos has played pretty well offensively lately, but it still feels really thin outside of Turner and Schwarber.
Yeah, well, and it's funny, I wrote about this today, as a matter of fact, and then of course they go out and they get 5 extra base hits today to make my story look stupid, right? But coming into the final game of the series against the Cubs, the first 2 games they had 26 hits. Of those 26, 23 were singles. You can't win, even though JT Realmuto said to me last night, well, you can win by hitting a lot of singles, and you can, but that would require you to have awesome pitching at all times. So you need to have some slug. The Phillies got some slug today. 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and a triple. Castellanos' triple was maybe a millimeter from being a home run. Hit off the top of the railing in dead center field. So otherwise, that would have been a home run as well. So yeah, they need to kind of get that going, and they keep thinking it's going to come. Maybe in years past, you would sit there and go, oh yeah, it's going to come. I just worry that, in years past, it would be 1 or 2 guys that you're waiting for it to come with.
Yeah.
Here, it just seems like it's a lot of the line that they're waiting for it to come with.
Infamously, famously, however you want to say it, last year, Rob Thompson, I don't even remember who he was talking to, said, we're going to slug. And I think it was fair to just...
How can you not remember who he said that to?
Regardless, he said that, and I took him at his word, and I think he's right. It would be hard to make that case right now, would be my point.
Yes.
Who is it coming from that hasn't already happened? Maybe to some extent from Bowman Castellanos, but this team to me desperately needs another middle of the order bat, and that's not something that we've thought about the last few years in terms of things the Phillies need in the summer. Right now, I think they clearly need, and this is where it's going to be tricky at the deadline, balancing. You don't want to give up a lot of these prospects because many of them are close to the majors. If they're not helping you now or this year, it's probably next year with some of them. But also, you need multiple relievers, and just in terms of this conversation, I think you need 1 regular position player probably too.
Yeah, and it's funny, we just gave Trea Turner his flowers, right, talking about how great he's been. But if you include him in with Bohm and Castellanos, and I know, like I said, Castellanos had triple today, Bohm had a homer today, so you don't want to criticize too much. But even they're their 3 best hitters from batting average perspective. You just look at their top 3 hitters on the team. All 3 are pacing behind where they were a year ago in production, home runs and doubles, and that's what's really missing right now. So when you hear JT say, "Well, we're not getting the single in the key spot," yeah, you're right. You're not getting the single in the key spot, JT. But if you guys had guys producing just at the pace that they were on last year with doubles and homers, you might not need to have those singles as much in the key spots. And so I think that's the thing that's missing. Maybe as the weather starts to get really warm now, we're hitting in the 80s with regularity, going to get into the 90s soon. Maybe they'll become hitting season, as Charlie used to say, and maybe these guys will start to hit a little bit more.
I just look at Alec Bowman. I thought early in his career this is going to develop into a 30 home run guy, and it's just not happened. And he doesn't hit for a high enough average to be an average guy. So don't get me wrong, there's stretches where he's great with runners in scoring position and doubles, but I think from where I anticipated Alec Bohm being at this point, he hasn't met that expectation. The Blue Jays will come into town this week against the Phillies. You'll have Kevin Gausman against Ranger Suarez in Game 1, Bowden Francis against Christopher Sanchez in Game 2, and then Jose Barrios against Zach Wheeler in Game 3. What kind of stands out to you about this weekend series?
Well, we know that they can hit Bowden Francis because they did up in Toronto, right? And he's not had a good season. The one thing I like about the matchups this weekend is the guy who's probably the toughest of those pitchers, who's Barrios, he has to go against Wheeler. Yeah. So I think that's advantage Phillies. And so then when you look at the other 2 matchups, they should be advantage Phillies as well. They just need to keep doing what they had, better approaches at the plate in the series against the Cubs. Maybe it was getting home after a bad road trip, all the stuff that happened on the road with Harper getting hurt and this and that. Maybe you just got to kind of get that rolling again. I do like them this weekend against the Blue Jays. Yeah. If I was going to pick the series win, I'd pick the Phillies to win the series. But they can't let some of the same bad habits that have cost them against Toronto. They have to. You can't have a game like you had the other night where they had a lot of, even though they won the game, where they had 3 guys get thrown out on the bases, on their, making mistakes out there or errors in the field. Like they got away with a couple of misplays in right field today by Castellanos because they won the game 7-2. But things like that can come back and hurt you if you're not hitting. Right. So I think that those things need to stay clean. What
kind of stands out to me is Ranger Suarez. He missed early in the season, has been great since that first start. I mean, I would be very hesitant, injury history-wise, to make a long-term commitment to him. But at this point, he's certainly pitching like someone you give a qualifying offer to in the offseason. And who knows? you attach that to him and his injury history, maybe he's inclined to take it. I don't know, but I'm interested to see if he can continue to pitch at this level, because whether he's here next year or not, he's really important this year, out of the rotation now, maybe out of the bullpen in some point down the stretch. But if he's pitching 7 innings every start, I don't know it's going to be out of the bullpen. He's a fun guy to watch pitch, and I think a lot of people maybe kind of wrote his time with the Phillies off. When he was out at the beginning of the season, Jesus Luzardo's pitching so well, and it feels like you have so many great starting pitchers. All of a sudden, Aaron Nola's hurt. Mick Abel looks mortal after 2 incredible starts to start his career. Ranger Suarez has become a really important guy once again.
Right now, I would argue, right now, in the moment, he's their second best pitcher now in the moment. Right?
No, I think for sure.
Sanchez has been very good, but
Yeah.
he's been a little bit inconsistent. Luzardo was great. Then had those 2 horrible starts.
Yeah.
Was really good again today. So like maybe he comes back and kind of retakes that spot. But as far as consistency goes, it's Wheeler and then Ranger right now. And so the Phillies are going to lean on him, and they're going to rely on him because, as you pointed out, Nola's going to be out probably through the All-Star break at this point with the way things are going. And you just don't know with Mick Abel. He's going to probably have ups and downs, 2 great starts, and then yesterday not so much. But so you really need Ranger to kind of be a stabilizing force in that rotation, because it is the strength of the Phillies.
Yeah, and he has every motivation, obviously, to be that in a contract year. So it will be interesting. Blue Jays in town. Don't love how they do the scheduling quirks where you see a team twice in 10. They had a similar situation with the Cardinals earlier in the year where you see a team twice in 2 weeks and then not the rest of the season. But is what it is. Phillies take 2 out of 3. He's Anthony SanFilippo. I'm Tim Kelly.
We have to thank a camera guy.
Oh, Oscar Budahan behind on the 1s and 2s behind the camera. Thank you so much for your hard work, your manual labor. You should unionize. We will talk to you guys next time.
I'll get back to you guys.